The Zalari Academy for Intergalactic Defense prided itself on producing the fiercest warriors in the galaxy. Its training arenas echoed with the roars of reptilian Tharn, the swift maneuvers of chitin-armored Velkur, and the crushing grapples of the brutish Orcs. When the first human cadet arrived, most considered it a cosmic joke. Cadet Daniel Reeves was thin compared to the hulking Orcs, slow compared to the Velkur, and unarmed compared to the naturally bladed Xyrex. His kind had only recently joined the Galactic Union, and rumors spread quickly. Humans were fragile, clumsy, and weak. The first weeks of training seemed to confirm this. Daniel struggled with zero-gravity maneuvers, was knocked flat in sparring drills, and barely kept pace in endurance runs. The aliens mocked him openly. "Why send prey to learn with predators?" hissed a Velkur. "Perhaps the humans will make fine medics." An Orc laughed, his tusks gleaming. Even the instructors questioned his usefulness. But Daniel never quit. He showed up bruised, bleeding, and exhausted, yet always ready for the next session. That puzzled the others. Weakness should have broken him. Instead, it hardened him. The turning point came when the Academy began combat training simulations. Unlike drills, these were live scenarios designed to mimic the chaos of war. The cadets were grouped into mixed-species squads and dropped into a simulated battlefield with objectives to capture and defend. Daniel's squad included an Orc named Grath, who had been his loudest critic. When the match began, Grath charged recklessly, flattening enemies in brute contests of strength. The Velkur darted through cover, striking and retreating. Daniel? He didn't engage. Instead, he observed. He noticed how the Velkur tired quickly after bursts of speed, how the Orcs left their flanks exposed when charging, how the Xyrex grew predictable after repeated feints. He catalogued everything. When his squad began losing ground, Daniel finally stepped in. "Grath, stop rushing. You're being baited." Velkur, "Cut left and draw them in." Xyrex, "Hold position. I'll cover the flank." The others scoffed until his plan worked. One by one, enemy cadets were isolated and defeated. Daniel himself fought differently than any alien expected. He didn't rely on brute strength, but on precision, sidestepping strikes, redirecting momentum, and targeting weak points. He wasn't stronger, but he was trained, because humans had lived on a death world. Predators, wars, survival. They had forced humanity to develop martial systems, strategies, and discipline unmatched by species who had relied solely on biology. Daniel had studied judo, boxing, and tactics drilled into him by Earth's long, violent history. When an Orc nearly crushed him in a grapple, Daniel didn't resist strength with strength. Instead, he shifted, breaking balance, using the alien's own momentum to hurl the massive brute into the dirt. The crowd of cadets gasped. Tage. Differently than any alien expected. He didn't rely on brute strength, but on precision, sidestepping strikes, redirecting momentum, and targeting weak points. He wasn't stronger, but he was trained, because humans had lived on a death world. Predators, wars, survival. They had forced humanity to develop martial systems, strategies, and discipline unmatched by species who had relied solely on biology. Daniel had studied judo, boxing, and tactics drilled into him by Earth's long, violent history. When an Orc nearly crushed him in a grapple, Daniel didn't resist strength with strength. Instead, he shifted, breaking balance, using the alien's own momentum to hurl the massive brute into the dirt. The crowd of cadets gasped. The simulation ended with Daniel's squad victorious. For the first time, no one laughed. But the Academy wasn't convinced by one victory. The next days brought harder tests. Close-quarters combat, weapons training, squad-level assaults. Every time, the aliens expected Daniel to falter. Every time, he adapted. Against the Velkur's speed, he learned to predict rhythm. Against the Xyrex's blades, he closed distance, nullifying reach. Against the Orloc's brute force, he redirected power. Slowly, mockery turned to respect. During one brutal exercise, Grath himself fell to Daniel in single combat. The Orc warrior, once sneering, offered a tusked grin and extended a hand. "You fight small, but you fight smart." That is more dangerous than strength. Word spread quickly across the academy. The fragile human wasn't fragile at all. He was dangerous in ways no alien had considered. By the final simulation, a full-scale battlefield, Daniel wasn't the liability. He was the commander. His squad executed maneuvers with uncanny precision, guided by his battlefield awareness. Under his leadership, they dominated the trial. When the exercise ended, the alien instructor addressed the cadets. Today you have witnessed what makes humans unique. Not claws, not speed, not armor. Adaptability, discipline, will, traits that turn weakness into strength. The academy had expected to train a fragile outsider. Instead, they had learned a lesson written in humanity's blood-soaked history. Never underestimate a human in combat. And so the galaxy began to whisper a new truth. Fragile they may seem, helpless they may appear, but when combat begins, humans are predators disguised as prey.